Hello, everyone. My name is Ellen Milnes, Director of Marketing for MoreSteam. I'll be working behind the scene today to help deliver this program, which is part of our Master Black Belt series. Before we get started, let me just say a couple words about MoreSteam for those of you who don't know us yet. Our company offers a full portfolio of online process improvement training, simulations, data analysis, and project management software. We've helped a lot of clients train and complete project work over the past 20 years. Supporting virtual work environments is what we've done all along. Our customers span individuals who are working on building their professional credentials to Fortune 50 companies that span the globe. You see just a sampling of our client base on this slide. We're honored to support our clients' continued success and your personal professional development with programs such as today's webcast. Our platform for today is GoToWebinar. Some of you might be familiar with it. You'll notice that all attendees have been muted. We encourage you to engage with our speaker by using the question block of the attendee control panel. It's shown on your screen right now. I'll be monitoring the incoming questions, and we've reserved time at the end of the hour to address the questions you've submitted. Most common question that we get asked is, will today's slides be available? And the answer is yes. Both the slides and the recording will be posted to our webcast library on the MoreSteam.com website. So we're going to spend the next hour learning about the BELT program at Anheuser-Busch, InBev for short. InBev goes back over 800 years in its European heritage. I believe over 165 of those in North America. Globally, the company is recognized over history for its leadership in the beer industry. It also demonstrates its leadership for making a positive global impact, from donating cash, water, and disinfectant materials to help combat and contain the initial COVID-19 outbreak in China, to playing a positive role in local communities with its North American operations, donating nearly 83 million cans of emergency drinking water to disaster relief since 1988. It is my pleasure to introduce Lauren Pincus, Global Director of Continuous Improvement, to share her insights into InBev Ops. Welcome to the virtual podium, Lauren.
Thank you, Ellen and MoreSteam, for hosting me as part of these webinar series. Really looking forward to sharing my experience working in continuous improvement at InBev. Again, my name is Lauren Pincus. I'm the Global Director for Continuous Improvement. Just a little bit about myself. I've been with InBev for 8 years. My primary background is in logistics. I have an industrial engineering degree from Purdue University, and I'm very passionate about continuous improvement. So I've been Green Belt and Black Belt certified within our company, and I'm currently pursuing my Master Black Belt certification. Also some other information about myself. I'm a licensed Scrum Master and product owner through Scrum Inc. Part of our team is focused on different types of methodologies and mindsets, and one of those is Agile ways of working. We'll talk a little bit about in the webinar today. Another fun fact about myself is I've lived and worked in all the different areas located there on the bottom of the screen, and had an opportunity to do an international assignment while working at InBev. So travel is a passion of mine, both personally and professionally. So also a little information about InBev. Again, as Ellen had mentioned, our heritage really spans 6 centuries of brewing history. So we started back in the 1200s in Belgium with Leffe, which was originally brewed by Belgian monks about 800 years ago. Then in North America in the mid-1800s, we started to see a lot of developments of breweries within North America. And within our heritage in Canada, Labatt Brewery was formed by Europeans that moved to the region. Also, as many of you might be aware, Anheuser-Busch Brewery was formed by two partners, Adolphus Busch and Eberhard Anheuser. In Latin America in the late 1800s, they really started to embrace the German and Austrian style lagers. And in 1879, InBev was formed in Brazil and Quilmes was formed in Argentina. And then in the late 1900s, Mexico adapted the European technique, creating their own special model of beer, as they called it, forming Grupo Modelo. And finally, where we've all kind of come together in this collaboration of AB InBev, what happened in the 2000s. So in the early 2000s, the European side, Interbrew, and the Latin America side, AmBev, created a merger and created InBev. Anheuser-Busch joined that conglomeration in 2010, followed by Grupo Modelo in 2013 and SAB Miller at the end of 2016. So that's a brief history about our company and culture today. I also wanted to share a little bit more about our team. So my team is part of a group that's branded ourselves as the Business Connections team. And really our focus is to connect business needs with solutions. And we do that through a variety of ways on the right-hand side. Of course, continuous improvement is a very large portion of that, and you'll see that with some of the indications of benefits management, training, coaching, portfolio management. But we also offer a couple of other services, which includes more in-depth analytics, internal consulting. We also have, external partners, and then Agile project management as well. So our team is really, focusing on helping to provide the methodology, the tools and techniques that the company needs in order to solve complex problems or any types of problems, really. So let's talk a little bit more about the BELTS program evolution at AB InBev. We have a rich history within our continuous improvement team, about 9 years of evolution really within the BELTS program. We started in 2011 with a small pilot and have since continued to expand. And we expanded not only within the scope of our company, so continuing to add regions in different areas of the business to the BELTS program, but also different types of projects. We started with, of course, more of the green and black belt and white belt back in 2013, but then started to add some other types of problem-solving methodologies, with yellows being first introduced in 2015, and these belts as consultants, which is kind of an internal consulting program that we started back in 2015. You'll notice at the bottom there that we have the number of belt projects, which has evolved and continued to expand and increase up until about 2016. And 2017 leading through this year, there's been a decrease in the number of projects. That was done strategically, so we have lessened the number of projects we have in our portfolio year after year, because we want to focus on really providing the proper support for those projects and making sure they're more impactful to the business. So having really high impact, highly strategic projects that we continue to support and evolve through these programs. And then the other piece that we want to really focus on is providing a holistic approach to our methodologies and services aligned to our agile and flexible workforce. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we go into the BELTS community, which is what we really want to, okay. So just to recap, we've talked about our evolution, which is really focusing on providing a holistic approach to different types of services to our business, and really focusing on having fewer but more impactful BELTS projects within our platform. So then moving on, just a little bit overview on our belts offerings. We do offer the full span from white belt to master black belt within our company. White belt is actually a requirement for all employees. So it's part of our onboarding that they go through, each employee goes through an introduction to problem solving, PDCA, the basic analytics that white belt offers. And then from there, we have the yellow belt through black belt as our core offerings. So yellow belt, of course, with being medium analytics, is more shorter term projects. We normally have 3 to 4 months on those projects. Green belts is obviously a little bit more intermediate statistics, and we typically have length of 6 months for our green belt projects. And then black belts are obviously more advanced statistics, so those normally last from 9 to 12 months in length. And then our master black belts are those that really help to basically support the program, the Lean Six Sigma program within the zones and within global. So they lead the programs, they execute the training, and support the projects that are within those zones. They also act as an internal consultant for the zone, which we'll talk a little bit about, again, as part of the belts community. So we talked briefly about Agile a moment ago, but just wanted to share, we've evolved our program offerings, as I mentioned, in recent years, where Lean Six Sigma is still a very important foundation to our company. We believe this is the right problem-solving methodology, but we also want to incorporate more of an agile mindset. So we've started to, kind of blend the two and share this information to our company and to our employees, that you can not only use the methodology of Lean Six Sigma, but you can also implement more of an agile mindset and way of working, where we have more checkpoints within our customers to get feedback and iterate on these different types of phases and methods in order to, provide a better solution to our employees or to our company and business. The other program offering that we'll touch much more in depth, because this is really the key to the belts community, is this idea around an internal marketplace. So the idea is that we want to understand first our internal capabilities. We want to map out our internal talent and understand, what does our employees, what kind of skills do they possess? And from there, then connect those capabilities with more of a squad-like concept, where we understand what type of demand we have, what type of projects are available that need more resources, need more internal talent or skills, and allow the supply, those individuals that have that talent, to apply for these different types of projects. And then the last piece is to really visualize this platform within ABI. And here we talk about potentially having machine learning that matches the supply and the demand in order to enable this project sourcing. So keep this in mind. We'll talk about this more in the next few slides and throughout the rest of this webinar today. So the next key topic is about having an agile workforce. And here we really want to focus on our belts community and how we can leverage those individuals that have the skills of problem solving in Lean Six Sigma. The idea behind this is really that we understand that there's a couple of challenges that our company and a lot of companies might have. And that is that the first challenge is that we know that sometimes we have siloed experts. So inherently, when we have a hierarchical structure, we often seek out initiatives and want to apply deep expertise, but we don't recognize or aren't able to quickly source or recognize that we have individuals from other functions or other types of the company or business that have these skills that can assist with some of these types of requirements or project demands. And the other piece is the fact that we know that at times we have inconsistent demand. So while we have our 3-year plan strategy and our 1-year plan that we're executing, we know that things can come up, projects that are highly required and needed for the business. So we know that we can have surges and declines in our demand for types of projects and abilities and skill sets. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to see if we can fill these positions with a more flexible workforce and if our company can adapt to this type of way of working. So that was really the kind of mindset behind this initiative with Belt's community and also with more of an agile workforce. So when we talk about agile workforce, what we want to do is we really want to break the mold of traditional talent deployment. And we want to enable work to be done by organizing our talent in a smarter way. So we want to find the right people, these different types of individuals that have unique skill sets, and I would include the Belts community as one of those because they've got that Lean Six Sigma knowledge and experience. So we want to find those individuals at the right time on the right projects. We want to access those skills and arrange for talent for growth, and then we want to deploy them within the right teams. So empowering them to work with other individuals to solve strategic projects and tasks. And that's really where we get to this idea around having projects that are unbundled into smaller tasks or initiatives where someone can go and assist with a short-term initiative and leverage their skills in problem solving and Lean Six Sigma to help with these different types of problems. So this is kind of just a picture, if you will, of the different type of agile operating model, where we take a larger initiative that might be expanding a year or long-term that multiple teams might be working on, identifying the different type of work streams, the projects, and then getting down to the task level where we can then almost act as internal consultants and find individuals where there might be gaps in that current team's skills, match that or pair that with a Belt or someone else in the company that has that internal skill set. And the way that we do this, when thinking about kind of the platform of how this all works, again, the goal is pairing short-term problems with highly skilled, highly specialized talent to deliver value to the business. And the way that this would work is to have on the 2 different sides, we've got on the left-hand side our demand going into some sort of platform where they're posting projects that they need skills or they need some assistance with. So they don't have the skills in their current team or they don't have the know-how to solve the problem. And then we have the supply actively going into that platform to look for opportunities where they can continue to develop themselves, work cross-functionally, get some different exposure to the business, and find things that interest them. So this is, again, the Belts community or other individuals that have different types of skills and talent going into the platform and looking for opportunities. And then the platform itself is really, just a place that holds these projects and helps to match the demand and the supply. For our company, we work with Catalant that does this algorithmic matching of skills. So it takes what the projects list as skills that are required, and it finds within our supply, within our employees, those skills that they possess, and it recommends individuals for projects. But this can be done with any type of platform or routine or process that you have within your company. But essentially, the goal is to be able to identify different types of project needs and identify those that have the skills that are able to conduct those projects, match the 2 so that we can really provide more value to the business and identify that we have some of those opportunities in-house. So just to elaborate a little bit more on how it works, again, employees will go in and create their profiles. They can tag skills or upload skills inventory that they have. So they self-select their skills. And then the business, the project owners who are looking for people who have particular skills, they don't have them within their project team, they can go and post the project and identify what type of skills are needed in order to conduct that project. And really the beauty of this is being able to match the skills that employees possess with the demand, with the requirement of the project in order to quickly find internal opportunities and close those gaps within our company. The reason we wanted to focus on the Belts community as part of this initiative is really because we want to deliver ongoing value before, during, and after the program. So we recognize that these individuals, like we mentioned, have experience with Lean Six Sigma. They've conducted a project within our company, and we want to continue to harness this and foster this community feel where they continue to share their knowledge and experience within our company. We do this by focusing on these 4 key items at the top there. The first being personal development for the employee. So this is encouraged that they talk with their line managers, their supervisors, and have one-to-one conversations on how they can further develop themselves. And one way is to really share their knowledge and experiences with other parts of the company by working on these different types of projects. Focusing on continuous learning, so having that appetite and that interest in continuing to refine your skills and develop those. Recognizing those individuals for their hard work and in really reaching out and working cross-functionally or across different zones on projects. And then finally, again, just delivering that ongoing involvement within our community so that we continue to build and foster this cohort within our company. One of the really beautiful ways that we've been able to tie this to what's in it for them. So why would an individual within the Belts community be interested in working on some of these short-term problem-solving projects? Is we've actually made our Belt certification a little bit more agile. So we took the previous certification process, which was a little bit more regimented. It was focused on completion of 2 projects for green and black belts, for instance, and had a lot very strict requirements there. We've adapted that and made it a little bit more flexible and focused on that community environment, really building and fostering a community and sharing your knowledge and expertise. So now, again, within green belts and black belts specifically, the requirement is they complete 1 project within our company, and then completion of a certain amount of credits in order to reach certification. And some ways that they can reach those credit hours is by working on some of those short-term projects that we mentioned earlier. They could also teach a module of green belt class or teach to their team some of the tools of Lean Six Sigma. So it's really just about fostering that community environment and sharing that knowledge and expertise within the company. We've also added some more clear certification guidelines for white belt, and then provided a little bit more accountability with the credit hours approach. We received really positive feedback within our company. Individuals really like the idea of being able to kind of foster their own roadmap or path to certification and having this flexibility based on their passions and interests, whether they like to teach things or whether they like to act as an internal consultant on other types of projects. It gives them a lot more flexibility in how they approach completion of their certification. So this is just a brief one-pager that we use within our company to kind of share what this means. So I thought we could, end on this note of having just a brief recap of what the Belts community really stands for. And it's really about these individuals that are trained, again, in Lean Six Sigma and are incentivized to help solve critical problems on short-term assignments with the certification criteria that we've implemented this year. So we talked to the business about all the different types of projects or problems that could be added to the platform, whether it's data analysis, running hypothesis testing, or even something so simple as driving solution implementation with strong management tool sets. these are the different types of capabilities that we want the business, the demand side to reach out for and leverage our Belts community to help them with their certification criteria. One example of a success story there at the bottom is we had a people process simplification initiative where, during this time of the COVID crisis, we know that our people teams are really needing to focus on adjusting and adapting to the new environment that we have. So there was a request to do a lean project to reduce the time of our people processes in order to give up opportunities to focus on that crisis and what the business really needs, while not negatively impacting, our annual cycle of reviews with individuals, giving them, feedback and all of these important pieces still within the company. So the outcome, we had a belt that quickly onboarded and helped with this initiative. That came up very quickly. They were able to conduct and analyze some data. They leveraged lean methodology to provide recommendations on streamlining the process steps. And at the right-hand side, she gave a pretty lengthy quote, but just to highlight a few things that she really enjoyed the cross-functional experience, giving some knowledge to a different area of the business. She was also able to offer her perspective on lean methodology, and overall felt that it was a great experience and would be interested in doing and in collaborating again on this initiative. So something that we're still fostering and continuing to expand within our company, but we feel that this is the right move as far as embedding that culture of wanting to share experiences, wanting to share your Lean Six Sigma skills to a broader base of the business, and really help to solve problems with solutions that make sense for the business. So that, I believe, is my last slide. Ellen, again, apologies to those on the call for the brief issues with the connection, but I'm happy that I was able to connect again and share with you a little bit of background about InBev and about how we're incorporating our continuous improvement and Belts community within our organization. So at this time, I think we can go ahead and take some questions. If there were any questions that you have, that you can feel free to share in the chat window. And I believe Ellen can help with sharing those to me as well.
Sure. I can act as the moderator and share the questions that have been submitted. If others in the audience are thinking of questions right now, please type them in, and then I can present them to Lauren. Lauren, before we go on to the Q&A segment, I just want to say that when you lost your connection, the amount of comments just flooded in, like, this is so indicative of everyone working remotely. Oh, the joys of working remotely. And this happens to all of us. And, we all were troubleshooting. If I was quicker on my feet, I would have made some, comment about, oh, this is just an example of Lauren's being professional and agile, live demonstration. But I wasn't that quick. So thank you, everyone, for being really patient. And let's take advantage of the rest of the time available and get some follow-up from Lauren on a couple of these things. So going sequentially, one of the things that you talked about, Lauren, was going from a culture of doing a lot of projects all over to being much more focused, to doing fewer projects, higher impact projects. Could you tell us a little bit about that transition? How did you prepare the organization to transition to fewer projects in alignment with your strategic objectives? Was there any pushback?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I don't I don't know that there is a perfect solution for that. I'll share what we did in our experience, but I think we're still balancing that out. And to be honest, I don't think we've really, recognized what is the right level of projects to really focus on year after year. But what we try to do is have the strategy drive the number of projects. So, we try not to turn away projects per se, but really focus on, okay, are these really the projects that our leadership needs to have in order to solve some of the key 3-year plan, 1-year plan strategies that are coming down for our company as a whole. So we try not to necessarily turn away projects per se, but what we do is push back on, well, where is this connected within our 1-year plan, our 3-year plan? Do we have alignment from our leadership, from even all the way up to, some of the VPs or chiefs, that this is something that's really strategic and needed for the company? With that, it does take a little bit more time to do the selection process, and we really focus this more on the green belts and black belts because they are more extensive projects. For yellow belts, we do still want to see that connection to a strategic initiative, but those can spin up throughout the year. But it's a great question, and I don't know that there's a perfect number. We just try to really ensure that we get the clarification and alignment that these projects are really delivering towards that strategic needs of the business. And it's not just about financial projects, although those are, of course, very important projects that we want to see and have a direct correlation to, our P&L. But it's also, soft benefits projects that are, enablers for future growth, for future benefits, financial benefits or financial impact that we believe are also equally as important. So I do believe that there's a balance, and I think we're still working towards that. I don't know that we're at the perfect number, let's say, right now this year, but I believe that we're working towards, having this balance of ensuring that we've got strategic projects aligned with the strategy and aligned with leadership in order to ensure that they're supported and are going to be successful.
Okay, great. Can you tell us a little more about how the skills are verified? You talk about identifying skills and then they go into the database. So are they required to be demonstrated? We're assuming that you're going to a more detailed level than just like white belt, yellow belt, green belt, black belt, master black belt, that you're getting down to the actual skill level.
Yes, that's another great question. Yes, so it's very similar to LinkedIn. Well, our approach is similar to LinkedIn in that people self-select their skills. So they post, when they create their profiles, they select what skills they believe they possess and even the level of skill knowledge. So, it can be like, let's say like basic Excel all the way up to, VBA or knowledge of VBA. They can actually list the level of knowledge within each skill. But it is self-selected. But what we do is after a project is completed, the project owner can actually go in and validate those skills. So like LinkedIn, where they endorse certain skills, we can go in and validate that those skills are actually what we believe were impactful, were shown in the project, that we want to highlight for those individuals. So we do get to more level than just the belts, although they do have their belt level within the platform or recognized within their profile. We also ask that they fill out a couple of different types of skills that they possess, and also even skills that they want to continue to refine. So maybe skills that they believe they might have a gap and want to close a gap. So it's kind of two-way where we can share that information, but it is self-selected that then gets validated after a project.
Okay. Now you referenced like LinkedIn, okay, which LinkedIn is a public platform. So when people are self-identifying their skill levels, and then when the project sponsor or leader is validating them afterwards, what is the access to that? Is that on an internal company like public platform, or is there limited access to that information?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ellen, and clarification. It is just within our company. So we only share this information within our company of the skills that our employees possess and the projects that they're getting involved with.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and in terms of a feedback loop for the team members, okay, so is that validation reviewed with the team member? Is there any other type of feedback or performance loop that happens after the project?
Yes, yes. As part of the, validation of the skills, they also are able to share some feedback in more of a structured manner, if you will, leveraging, within the platform. But we encourage, as part of the process, closing that loop, having a conversation with the individual, but they have the opportunity to share those comments and feedback within the platform that we have. Which I think is a very important piece, right? We want to make sure that we give the feedback, also recognize those individuals for really going above and beyond and working on these projects that are outside of their current day-to-day or outside of their current function or zone. So we do appreciate and work with the project owners to give that feedback to their the different employees.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then did you say that goes into their overall performance management?
So it's definitely one of the pieces that we're working to further connect in a more formal way. Right now, it's something that we encourage as far as discussions. It's one of the topics that employees can share with their line managers. There's a place where they can talk about other experiences where they've worked on different projects, worked cross-functionally, worked with other zones. But to your point, it's something we want to make in a more formal manner, that we're still working to achieve that closure. But agreed, I think that would be a real winner if we can get that close connection to their overall feedback process.
Yeah, as an input. Do you have any sense in terms of what % of your projects involve advanced statistics? Some of the more advanced Six Sigma tools?
So our black belts are definitely a smaller portion of our total portfolio. I would say, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but typically year over year, especially in the past couple of years, I would say it's normally less than 25% of our projects are black belts. And again, I think that really stands towards having fewer but impactful projects, because those really do require a lot of support, a lot of focus on the individual. And within our organization, for our Lean Six Sigma belts, they still do their day-to-day work, and they work on other projects as well. So in order to give them the right impact and focus, we typically have a smaller subset of black belts compared to our green and yellow belts. Our green belts are our largest area of the business. Those typically consist of 50 to 60% of projects.
Okay. All right. So we've been focusing these last several questions on the team members. Here's a really good question, I think, in terms of the business units and the business units requesting resources. So the question is, do you find the business units requesting resources based on a true lack of a skill set needed, to fill the skill gap versus a staff augmentation?
Interesting question. Yeah, I believe that, ideally we would have, if we had all of the resources needed within each of the different teams, we wouldn't have a skill gap, right? So I do believe that sometimes the skill gap is caused by a lean organization, right? Our organization has always been focused on lean, being lean, and it's just a reality, right? So we recognize that at times we don't have the skills needed on a particular team, but I think that this solution can really help to engage individuals and give them, experiences that they haven't had before, and also help with, challenged resources that don't have the skills that they need. So to me, I kind of see it as a connection of both of them, right? We don't have the skills we need because we're a lean organization and sometimes don't have all the resources within each team.
Okay. Let's talk about resourcing the work in a little bit of a different way. In terms of assignments, I'm not sure you mentioned about whether the team members are allocated full-time or whether this is a part-time assignment. So assuming that these project team members all have day jobs to do outside of the project work, how does that balance work?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And it's not, I would say the majority of the projects are requesting part-time resource because they know that these individuals, it's much more challenging to get buy-in from the person helping out on the project team, the internal consultant, to have them working full-time. So typically we do see more part-time assistance, but it's really what I believe is the most important thing is having these conversations and expectations up front. So getting alignment with the person interested in helping out with the project and their line manager, getting that clarification up front and alignment up front is really important in order to ensure the success. The success story that I shared at the bottom here was a project that was in urgent need. So it was something that needed to be completed quickly and aligned quickly. We put it into our internal database, and within a matter of days, we needed someone to step up and kind of help out with this analysis. So it's something that we wanted to share up front, that it was something that needed to be done quickly, and get further alignment not only with the person interested in doing the project, but also their line manager to ensure that they can free up that resource. So I think, again, it's just all about having those expectations and clarifications up front. But typically we do see more part-time projects in order for them to continue their day-to-day work, which may be a little bit different than their help with these different types of projects.
Okay. Okay, good. Here's one from Kevin. When matching the resources to the projects, you talked about scoping, okay, to ensure an appropriate project scope, length of time, skills required, etc. So who does that specifically?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's normally our project owners, the ones who need the work, that will go into the platform and actually upload the needs, the project needs, so defining out all the details within the project. for the belts community specifically now. So we can have other types of individuals wanting help on different projects, but if it requires Lean Six Sigma in order to solve, our team, the master black belts within the zone, and myself and my team will work with the business to ensure first that it does require Lean Six Sigma to solve, especially since we have certification criteria tied to this. So we want to make sure that yes, indeed, there will be different types of tools or methodology used. And then second, kind of help them with scoping it out and ensuring that we, outline the type of credits that we expect for the project, depending on the level of, skills required, as well as the level of dedication needed towards the project. So typically we'll partner up and work to outline that scope details with the project owner.
Okay. Okay. Here's a good kind of big picture question. What are the challenges and benefits of using multiple process improvement methodologies? So you talked about Lean, you talked about Six Sigma, you talked about Agile. So each one of those, kind of has its own set of principles, pillars, roadmaps, terminology.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any observations in that regard, how that all mixes and plays together?
Yeah, another really, really great question, and something that I think our company is still evolving, right? I think we're still on kind of a journey here to see how we can balance and blend the different types of tools and methodologies. But to be honest, I don't think there's a black and white approach. We often see that some projects, they'll start out using a phased approach, with DMAIC, with their typical Lean Six Sigma type of project, and then they come into encountering, like in the improve phase, a challenge. Maybe the pilot wasn't successful. Maybe they need to go back to the drawing board, analyze their voice of the customer, make some adjustments, redo another pilot. So this is where we see some of the iterations take place, and it requires maybe a little bit of a change in mindset, or maybe a little bit of an adjustment to the methodology. So what we're seeing now more and more is that we often want to just give our cohort, our employees, a toolbox and really properly explain and teach them how to use different types of skills and tools based on the type of problem that they have, because there's not always a perfect path to take, right? And I think that's what we're trying to do is adapt to, first off, adapt the methodologies to our company and way of working, because even though we talk about how we have, we're learning about Agile as an organization, we're not introducing necessarily all of the different types of the rituals, if you will, that are successful in IT, because that's not going to be successful in our company. We have to adapt those and make it a little bit more of our approach. But I don't think there's a clear-cut answer. It's something that we're still evolving, and I think we'll continue to evolve and try to understand how these different ways of working, tools, and methodology work together. But I do think there is a place where they can work together and really blend in a nice way that provides the right tools and resources for different types of individuals depending on their problem.
Yes, good point. I know we've seen that newly certified belts may be a little more married to a particular roadmap and, the utilization of a standard set of tools. And as people gain experience, we see just what you're saying, that the problem needs to drive the tools that are used, and having, as you said, a full toolbox and the skill in knowing which tool to use when, regardless of what methodology someone can categorize it, under. So absolutely right. There isn't a simple checklist to do that fits every single project.
That's right, Ellen. I wish there was, but
It would be simpler. Yeah. The question here is about sponsor, process owner, and champion training. Do you offer any training to your champions and sponsors? And if so, what is that? What's that look like?
Sure. Yes, we offer formal sponsor training and financial auditor training. We do not offer a formal champion training. The reason being, a lot of our champions are pretty high up in our company. So what we do is we leverage more of our stakeholder management routines with them to kind of share progress on the projects. We have the project managers present to them on a routine basis and get their feedback more in that manner. But we do provide formal training on an annual basis to our sponsors and financial auditors. And we believe that's important. We do it at the very beginning of the project to ensure that the expectations are clear as far as the commitment and time frame. Some of our sponsors, a lot of times we try to find a sponsor that's either close to that particular problem within the business or has done a belt project in the past, so that they're aware of, how the Lean Six Sigma program works, and can provide that support needed to the project owner.
Okay. All right. I have one of my eyes on the clock, and I see that we're just a couple minutes short of an hour. Lauren, if you have the time, I'd like to present 2 additional questions.
Certainly.
Okay. All right. Great. So Josh asked, how is InBev doing some of this work virtually now?
Yeah, that's a great question. In terms of our team, as far as supporting the Belts program, how are we supporting it virtually? We have adapted all of our classroom training to virtual training, leveraging different tools and technologies like Zoom. We use Zoom in our company, which has like breakout rooms where we can make smaller groups for exercises. So we've been able to try and make the virtual training as interactive as possible, leveraging some simulations like those that are in MoreSteam in order to make the program as interactive as possible. And then what we've seen as far as our projects, executing the projects virtually, we have seen some changes needed in adjustments to the portfolio this year. So there was, I would say, a little bit more of a late start to our program than usual to ensure that the projects are still aligned to our strategy, because of course COVID has made some changes, has required some changes to our overall strategic approach. But what we've actually found is that those that have received the commitment and have launched, now we're in a stable state. We've got our a little over 250 projects in our platform that are running this year. We found that they're actually more committed and are doing a little bit better of analysis in the upfront periods, because they've been able to balance out and have a little bit more time focused on their projects. Maybe it's the fact that they're working remotely. They can clear out some time in their calendar to focus on their projects. But we have seen, maybe because they're a little bit more distant from the business right now, they're not getting those interactions with their teams, or there's as many meetings with their teams. They've been able to dedicate a little bit more time to their projects and to the problems that they're trying to solve, which has been really great on our side.
Okay, thank you. And final question, this kind of sums it all up. So you talked about 9 years of evolution. All right. So if you were to go back in time, knowing what you know now, what might you do differently?
That's a good question as well. You know, one thing that I think we've done in a really positive manner is we've always tried to stay close to the business, and really take their feedback and let the business drive our team's, support. So when we talked about having an increase in different services year over year, that was really because the business was wanting that, the variety of services and requiring them based on the different problems they were having. So I think it was really a nice evolution that we've seen. I think it would be nice if we had offered maybe a little bit more of the different types of methodology sooner. But I don't know that it would really require going back and redoing. I think the most important piece is really staying connected closely to the business and ensuring that you're offering solutions to their problems, whether it requires design thinking, whether it requires Lean Six Sigma, whether it requires a different type of way of working like Agile. I think it's important to listen to the business and really provide the support that they need in order to continue to be relevant as a team and an organization.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Lauren. You know, based on all the questions we received and the audience engagement, I think everyone found it really, really interesting, you know, to hear how the InBev program has evolved. If you know, you think of a question or has some feedback on the program after we adjourn, we'd like you to share that with us. I'd encourage you to visit the MoreSteam.com website if you're not already familiar with it. That we offer a whole array of trainings. So we're a huge proponent of the blended learning model. So we have a master black belt program that combines online course modules with 2 weeks of classroom sessions. Lauren is a participant in that program. We're proud to have her as a member of our MBB network. This program is offered in partnership with Ohio State Fisher College of Business, and it's a well-recognized program across the world. For those of you who are not already certified belts, we also offer a blended green belt and black belt certification program that combines with not only the online training course, but virtual study halls, individual coaching, simulation workshop, and certification. Also, on another tab of our website, we have a whole bank, a whole library of free resources. So this includes toolbox tutorials, webcast recordings, blogs, white papers, all kinds of resources that process improvement professionals will find helpful. Our webcast library is where the recording of this webcast will be posted. We'll post Lauren's slides and recording on the event page. It normally takes us a day or two for our web team to get that posted. And when it's available, I'll be sending out an email with a direct link to that page. So thank you so much for spending the past hour with us. This concludes our program. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.